The sky above Earth split open like a wound, and people all across the world stopped what they were doing to look up. From small villages to crowded cities, every human eye lifted toward the heavens as strange lights moved across the atmosphere. At first, some thought it was a meteor shower, others thought it was war. But soon the truth became clear. A fleet of alien ships, massive and silent, glided into orbit around Earth. They were so large that even amateur stargazers could see their dark shapes against the stars. Governments scrambled, soldiers prepared, and billions of humans felt a chill crawl down their spines. The world had dreamed of first contact, but no. One imagined it would arrive in this way. No invitation, no warning, just a wall of alien power hanging over Earth like a storm cloud. Then, the voice came. It was not one voice, but many, echoing in every language, every screen, every device on the planet. "We have come," the voice declared, calm yet cold. "We are the Covenant of Atheron, sworn to protect Earth from what comes." People froze, staring at their televisions, phones, and radios, unsure if they should cheer or tremble. The words sounded noble, but they carried a shadow inside them. Protect Earth from what? That question, repeated in the minds of billions, but no answer followed. Instead, the broadcast ended with a promise. "We will guard you. You are under our protection now." Some wept in relief, others panicked, and leaders rushed to speak to the new arrivals. But when the first meeting was arranged, the strange tension only grew stronger. In Geneva, alien envoys appeared through shimmering gates of light. They were tall, with metallic skin and glowing eyes, their armor shining with symbols no human could read. They stood like statues, cold and perfect, their presence filling the room with pressure. World leaders gathered, shaking hands nervously and adjusting their ties. But the aliens did not bow or smile. Instead, they spoke again. "Your world faces a predator beyond the stars. We have taken an oath. We will protect you." The human leaders exchanged looks, shifting in their seats. The American president leaned forward. "And what kind of predator is this?" The alien leader's glowing eyes dimmed slightly. "You are not ready to know." The room grew tense, whispers spreading among diplomats. "Not ready to know?" It sounded less like protection and more like control. The Russian delegate spoke sharply. "You appear in our skies, you bring your fleets, and you expect us to stay quiet. Tell us the truth." But the alien only repeated, "We are your shield. Trust us." Outside the chamber, the world waited. News cameras live streaming every second. Crowds filled the streets, holding signs, some reading, "Welcome Protectors," others shouting, "Go home." Across the planet, debates raged. Were these alien saviors or invaders hiding behind the word protection? But among the confusion, one detail unsettled the aliens most of all. Humans were not begging, they were not crying, they were not kneeling. Instead, they were smiling. In a small command chamber aboard the flagship orbiting Earth, alien officers spoke in low tones. "These humans are strange," one said, his voice clicking like metal. "They do not fear us." Their faces twist into grins, even when threatened. Another alien tilted his head. "Perhaps they do not understand the danger. Perhaps they are ignorant." The commander, taller than the rest, shook his head slowly. "No, that is not ignorance. That is something else." He had studied thousands of civilizations, yet never seen this reaction before. Fear was natural, obedience was expected. But humans only smiled, and when the alien commander looked closer, he realized those smiles were not empty. They carried something sharp behind them, like blades hidden in the dark. On Earth, a reporter asked a soldier standing guard outside the summit, "What do you think about the aliens?" The soldier, a young man barely out of training, shrugged and smirked. "They say they'll protect us. That's it." His words spread quickly, repeated across networks, fueling laughter and nervous jokes worldwide. "That's it." Became a question repeated in bars, in schools, in factories. People laughed, even while afraid. and their laughter echoed louder than the alien vow. Back inside the alien fleet, the commander clenched his metallic hand. These creatures. They mock us, he whispered, though part of him wondered if it was mockery or confidence. For the first time in centuries, the Covenant of Athron felt uncertain. They had come expecting worship, expecting fragile beings begging for help instead. They found humans who only grinned in the face of cosmic threats. The commander looked out the viewing window at the blue and green world below, and he felt something that chilled even his ancient bones. Not fear for Earth, but fear of Earth. As night fell across the continents, humans returned to their homes. Staring at the skies filled with alien shadows, children pointed at the ships, asking their parents if the protectors were friends. Parents forced smiles, saying yes, even. As doubt gnawed inside them, the aliens had sworn to guard Earth, but had refused to explain from what. And the humans, instead of cowering, only smiled more. It was not madness, it was not ignorance, it was something deeper, something the aliens could not yet understand, and in that mystery, a dangerous truth was waiting to be revealed. The alien envoys expected fear, but what they saw instead was unsettling. Everywhere they went, humans grinned. In the streets of New York, crowds waved their phones at the sky, smiling as they recorded the alien ships. In Tokyo, children drew pictures of the massive orbiting fleet and laughed when their parents warned them not to. In Cairo, old men sat outside coffee shops, sipping tea as if nothing had changed, smirking as they told younger men, "Aliens think they can protect us? Let them try," the aliens whispered among themselves, confused, on countless worlds across the galaxy. Species had fallen to their knees when the Covenant arrived, grateful to be protected, terrified of being abandoned. But Earth did not kneel. Earth grinned. Inside the alien flagship, Commander Valen studied the humans through dozens of holographic feeds. He watched the United Nations meeting where world leaders debated fiercely with alien envoys. He watched soldiers training harder instead of hiding. He watched ordinary citizens sharing jokes that spread faster than any warning broadcast. One phrase repeated everywhere. That's it. Humans said it on TV shows, in schools, and even in government halls, their mouths curving into the same unsettling grin. It was not defiance in the way most species showed defiance. It was different. It was the grin of people who already knew. Something the aliens did not. Valen gathered his officers in a chamber lined with glowing crystal panels. "These humans disturb me," he admitted, his metallic voice echoing. An officer with black armor leaned forward. "They are reckless, Commander. Their history shows endless war. Perhaps they cannot feel fear." Another officer shook his head. "No, fear is in them, but they laugh at it. They twist it." "That is dangerous." Valen's eyes glowed brighter. "Yes, their smiles are not weakness. They are warning." On Earth, governments demanded more answers. Protect us from what? They asked again and again, but the alien envoys only repeated, "You are not ready to know. Trust us." The American president crossed his arms and smiled in front of the cameras. "Trust is earned. You want us to trust? Then tell us why you're really here." The alien envoy's glowing eyes dimmed, but no words came. The silence was broadcast across the world, and humans laughed. It was the first time an alien protector looked powerless. Far from the cameras, human scientists worked in secret. They studied the alien fleet, recording its movements, measuring the size of its weapons, calculating its speed. The aliens thought themselves invisible, but humans had satellites, telescopes, and restless curiosity. In underground bunkers, generals smirked as they shared information. "They think we're in the dark," one muttered, "but we're already watching every move they make." The aliens promised to shield Earth, but humans prepared as if the shield would shatter at any moment. The grin was not arrogance, it was survival. Meanwhile, among ordinary people, strange rumors began to spread. Some said humans had fought worse monsters before. Others whispered that Earth itself was cursed. that no invader had ever conquered it fully. The history of resistance, rebellion, and endless war was retold on every channel. Napoleon, Hitler, empires. Invaders all defeated in time by stubborn humans. The aliens didn't realize it, but Earth was a graveyard of conquerors, and that truth made the human grin grow wider. One evening, in a war room beneath London, human military leaders met with alien officers. The aliens spoke with confidence. Your armies will remain on standby. We will guard the skies. The British general, an old man with silver hair, leaned forward slowly, a grin tugging at his lips. With respect, he said, the skies are yours. The ground is ours. If something lands on Earth, don't expect. You was to stay out of it. The alien officer tilted his head, confused. You would fight alongside us? The general chuckled. Alongside, against, doesn't matter. Fight is fight. We don't sit still. This attitude spread quickly. In Brazil, soldiers marched through the streets, smiling as crowds cheered. Let the aliens watch, we'll handle our part. In India, scientists prepared experimental weapons, grinning as they whispered, just in case their protection fails. In Africa, tribes gathered around fires, smiling as elders said, we have faced lions, drought, and famine. Aliens are nothing new. Everywhere the grin remained, unshaken. Commander Valen felt it creeping into his thoughts as he studied Earth's people. He had faced warlords, pirates, and galactic plagues, but none of them had smiled in the face of death. Why do they grin? He asked quietly one night, staring down at Earth's oceans. His aide hesitated before answering. Perhaps they know what we do not. Valen's metallic fingers clenched, because deep down, he feared the aide was right. Then came the first test, not from the cosmic predator the aliens had promised, but from something smaller, raiders from the outer rim, sensing the Covenant's presence, attacked the alien fleet in Earth's orbit. Energy blasts lit the night sky, terrifying cities below as flashes of light streaked across the heavens. The aliens destroyed the raiders easily, but before the battle ended, something unexpected happened. A group of human fighter jets launched without permission, slicing through the sky like silver arrows. They joined the fight, weaving recklessly between massive alien ships, grinning pilots shouting into their radios. Aliens said they'd protect us? Fine, let's see if they can keep up. The alien fleet won, but the humans had fought as if they belonged in the stars. Alien officers watched the recordings in silence, stunned. These humans. One whispered, they are not like others, Commander. Valen did not respond, but inside, he knew the truth was becoming clear. The grin was not ignorance, not madness, not arrogance. It was a message. Humans did not need protection. They were already dangerous as dawn rose over Earth. The aliens prepared to announce victory, telling humans that the raid had been defeated. But when they broadcast their message, they found humans smiling again. Not grateful, not submissive, only smiling. And when reporters asked the pilots why they had launched against orders, one of them laughed into the microphone. Because this is Earth. We don't wait to be saved. The words spread like fire across the world. Repeated again and again, the grin had turned into something larger. Something the aliens could not control. It was now the face of Earth itself. Commander Valen stood at the observation deck of his flagship, staring at the blue planet below. The first clash with the raiders had ended, yet his mind was far from calm. The Covenant of Atheron had protected many young civilizations, but never before had the protected rushed into battle beside them without fear. Humans had grinned, flown and fought as if war was a game they refused to lose. It was reckless, but it was also impressive. Valen tightened his metallic fist. We must know what they are truly capable of, he muttered, and so the testing began. In the following days, alien surveillance increased. Cloaked drones circled Earth, recording human movements. They watched armies drilling late into the night, watched children in schools learning history full of wars, watched families laughing even in fear. Strange creatures. One alien officer whispered, reviewing a recording of humans joking during an air raid siren drill. They prepare for disaster while laughing at it. Another added, "It is not ignorance. They are teaching their young not to break under fear." The more the aliens observed, the more uneasy they became. Meanwhile, humans tested the aliens too. In secret meetings, generals asked sharp questions. How far will you go to protect us? What? If the predator lands on Earth? Will you die for us, or will you only defend from the skies? The aliens gave vague answers, never revealing the full truth. And every time they refused to explain, the humans only grinned wider. One general even leaned back in his chair and said, "That's all we needed to know," leaving the alien envoy confused. Humans had learned something without needing an answer. On the ground, strange encounters unfolded. In Siberia, an alien patrol observed a human training camp. The soldiers marched through snow, their faces red from cold, yet they sang songs loudly, their grins wide. An alien officer asked one of them through a translator, "Why do you sing while you suffer?" The soldier laughed, "Because if we stop singing, the cold wins. And we don't let the cold win." The aliens recorded his words, replaying them again and again. What kind of people laughed in the face of frostbite? In Africa, aliens witnessed villagers driving back a rampaging beast without weapons, only with fire, noise, and teamwork. The aliens offered help, but the villagers waved them off, smiling, "We can handle it." Later, the alien envoy asked why they refused protection. The village elder chuckled, "If we wait for others to protect us, we die. Better to fight with our own hands." The envoy returned to his ship troubled, because these words mirrored what humans had shown again and again. They did not wait, they acted, even in space. Humans found ways to test their new protectors. NASA engineers secretly launched a probe close to the alien fleet. Disguised as a weather satellite, the aliens quickly detected it and demanded an explanation. But the human scientists only grinned on the video call, "Just making sure your shields work. Wouldn't want our protectors to be untested, right?" The alien officers hissed in frustration, but Commander Valen did not punish them. Instead, he replayed the video, staring at the human grin. "They provoke us deliberately," he said, "but not out of arrogance. They are measuring us just as we measure them." It was not a war of weapons yet. It was a war of understanding. Then came the spark that changed everything. A hidden predator scout ship slipped into the solar system, cloaked and silent. The Covenant detected it first, but before they could act, human radars picked it up too. Within minutes, jets launched, and military commanders prepared countermeasures. By the time alien interceptors reached the intruder, human missiles were already in the sky. The scout ship was destroyed in a blast of fire. The aliens stared in shock, as humans celebrated, cheering as if it were a sports match. They did not even wait for our orders. An alien officer growled. Valen, however, felt something colder in his chest. "They did not need our orders," he whispered. The Covenant gathered in council, their glowing eyes dim with worry. "These humans are uncontrollable," one elder declared. "They will ruin the balance," another hissed. "Perhaps we should bind them, limit their technology, keep them in place." But Commander Valen raised his hand, silencing them. "You misunderstand," he said, his voice like grinding steel. "They are not uncontrollable. They are unbreakable." The council fell silent on Earth. Whispers of the predator threat began to spread, though the aliens tried to hide it. Humans were too curious, too clever. Leaks from observatories, rumors in military bases, and half-finished alien statements painted a dark picture. Something was coming, something so deadly that even the mighty Covenant was afraid to name it. And when humans learned this, they did not panic, they grinned. Reporters asked a soldier what he thought of the predator. The soldier adjusted his helmet, smiled at the camera, and said, "Doesn't matter what it is. If it bleeds, we'll find a way to kill it." The clip spread across the world, viewed billions of times. Children repeated the line in schools. Workers repeated it in factories. Soldiers repeated it in barracks. The aliens watched with unease. As a single phrase turned into a chant, "If it bleeds, we'll kill it." In the shadows of the alien flagship, Commander Valen finally understood the grin. It was not madness, not arrogance, not ignorance. It was the face of a species that had survived war after war, extinction after extinction, and still stood laughing. The grin was not a shield against fear, it was a weapon forged from it. And for the first time, Valen felt doubt. Perhaps Earth was not the fragile world that needed protection. Perhaps it was the predator, hidden behind a smile, that night, as stars glittered above the darkened planet. Both sides continued their tests. Aliens tested humans, humans tested aliens, but deep inside, a truth was slowly rising like the sun. The predators coming to devour Earth were dangerous, yes, but the real danger, the one that could change the galaxy forever, was the grin of mankind. For days, the Covenant of Athron tried to keep the truth hidden. They had sworn to protect Earth, but never explained why, yet the humans were relentless. Questioning, pressing, demanding answers. World leaders argued in front of cameras, reporters shouted in press rooms, and ordinary citizens flooded the networks with one question: what is coming? The aliens gave no reply, only silence, and the more silent they became, the more humans grinned. The grin of people who had already guessed the answer. Finally, Commander Valen called for a meeting. It was held in Geneva, inside a secure chamber. Beneath the city, the alien envoys appeared in pillars of white light, their tall armored figures filling the hall. Across from them sat leaders of every nation, their faces tense but calm. Valen's glowing eyes scanned the room, then his voice echoed like steel scraping on stone. You demand the truth. Very well. The truth will not comfort you. The chamber fell silent, every ear listening. There exists a species beyond the stars. We call them the Vroth. They are not conquerors. They are not raiders. They are predators. They do not trade. They do not reason. They only consume. Murmurs filled the room. But Valen continued. They devour worlds. They strip planets of life until only ash remains. Even civilizations greater than yours have fallen before them. The American president leaned forward, his voice steady. And they are coming here? Yes, Valen said. They have already marked Earth. We intercepted their scouts. We know their fleet approaches. The Russian delegate asked sharply. How long? Not long, Valen replied. Months, perhaps less. The hall grew heavy. But before panic could spread, the British Prime Minister leaned back with a grin. So that's it? That's the great danger you swore to protect us from. Valen's metallic face hardened. You do not understand. The Vroth cannot be beaten. They consume everything. You cannot resist them. But the room of humans only looked at each other and smirked. One general even muttered under his breath. Can't be beaten? We'll see about that. The aliens grew frustrated. You laugh at extinction, one envoy hissed. Do you not value your lives? The French leader replied calmly. We value them enough to fight for them. Always. The envoy slammed his armored fist on the table. You cannot fight the Vroth. Even we barely stand against them. The American president folded his arms, his lips curling into the same unsettling grin. Then you haven't fought like us, he said. News of the Vroth spread quickly across Earth. The Covenant tried to control the information, but humans were too connected, too curious, too stubborn. Within hours, the word Vroth was on every screen, every paper, every mouth. Some people panicked, stocking up supplies, fleeing cities, but far more responded with the same grin. Posters appeared on walls. If it bleeds, we'll kill it. Soldiers painted predator skulls on their armor. Children drew pictures of humans standing on mountains of alien corpses. The Covenant watched in shock as humanity prepared not to hide, but to fight. In orbit, the alien fleet strengthened its defenses, but to their surprise, human militaries did not wait for orders. Factories roared to life, building tanks, planes, missiles, and weapons that could pierce the sky. Scientists worked sleepless nights, studying captured fragments of the Predator scout ship. They reverse-engineered materials, built prototypes, and whispered plans of weapons no alien had ever considered. The Grinned had turned into action. One night, Commander Valen spoke with his aide in private. "These humans," he said, staring out the window. "They prepare for war as if it were celebration." The aide tilted his head. "Perhaps it is. Perhaps war is their nature." Valen shook his head. "No, it is not nature. It is choice. They choose to fight when others would bow." For the first time in his long life, Valen felt doubt not in humans, but in his own people. Had the Covenant grown weak while humanity grew strong? The first true warning came when the Predator fleet sent a message. It was not words, only a sound low, guttural, like a growl that shook every ship and every screen. Billions of humans heard it at once, and many felt fear. But then laughter followed. On social media, humans mocked the sound, calling it a bad horror movie. Memes spread faster than fear, with people posting videos of themselves growling back. The aliens were horrified, but Commander Valen watched with narrowed eyes. "They mock the Predators," he whispered. "Even before battle begins." In Washington, generals gathered around a map of the solar system. An alien advisor warned, "If the Vowed land on Earth, your people will burn." The general smiled and tapped the map. "If they land on Earth, they'll regret it." He explained their strategy: guerrilla warfare, traps, sabotage, human ingenuity. Earth is not just a planet. It's a battlefield. And we know every inch of it. The alien advisor stared in disbelief. "You would turn your own world into a weapon?" The general grinned. "It already is, across the planet." The same spirit spread. In Asia, factories turned to war production. Students trained in survival drills. In Europe, underground bunkers were stocked. Railways prepared to move armies at lightning speed. In Africa, tribes and nations united. Hunters teaching soldiers how to fight in deserts and jungles. In South America, militias rose, swearing to defend every village. In the Arctic, scientists tested weapons in the ice, grinning at the cold as if daring it to stop them. Earth was no longer waiting for protection. Earth was preparing for war. The Covenant Council grew restless. "They do not listen," one elder said. "They act as if they do not need us," another warned. "If they fight and lose, they doom themselves and us." But Valen silenced them with a raised hand. "You are blind. Do you not see? They do not believe in doom." He turned to the holographic map, showing the Predator fleet's advance. "They grin at the end because to them, the end is only another battle." The warning had been given. The Predators were coming, and even the mighty Covenant feared them. But Earth responded not with tears, not with surrender, but with laughter and steel. Humans sharpened their teeth and prepared their claws. The alien oath to protect Earth was already breaking apart. Because Earth had no interest in being protected, Earth wanted to fight, and somewhere deep in the stars, the Predators moved closer, unaware that the world they had chosen was not prey. It was a planet of predators, smiling, waiting, daring them to arrive. The warning had been spoken, the truth revealed. The Vowed were coming, and no force in the galaxy had ever truly stopped them. The Covenant of Athron placed their fleets around Earth, their shimmering ships forming a shield across the skies. They told humanity to stay behind, to remain calm, to let the protectors handle what was to come. But humanity never listened. While the aliens built walls, the humans sharpened swords. Factories thundered day and night. Soldiers drilled in deserts, mountains and cities. Scientists whispered of weapons still untested. The grin of mankind only grew wider. The first Warships appeared at the edge of the solar system. Dark shapes, blacker than space itself, sliding forward like predators stalking prey. The Covenant fleet moved to intercept, their commanders confident in their advanced weapons. On Earth, billions watched the live feeds. Screens filled with fire and shadow as the first clash began. The Covenant ships unleashed storms of plasma, energy beams cutting across the void. The Vroth absorbed the blasts, their armor rippling like liquid, then answered with claws of fire. Alien vessels exploded one after another. Even the mighty Covenant faltered in command rooms across Earth. Human generals watched silently. They had been told the Vroth could not be beaten. Now they saw why, but instead of despair, they smirked. A general in Moscow leaned over the table. They rely on brute strength. Good. That means they can be tricked. A general in Washington grinned. If they want to fight like monsters, then we'll fight like hunters, and orders were given. Human fleets launched. Dozens of human warships rose from Earth's surface, smaller and weaker than the alien armadas, but fast and full of determination. Alien advisors shouted in protest, "You will be slaughtered." But the humans ignored them, their pilots laughing as they climbed into the sky. "This is our fight too," one shouted through the comms. "Don't think you're stealing all the glory." The Covenant commander tried to order them back, but by the time the words left his mouth, the human ships were already diving into the battlefield. The first clash between humans and Vroth was chaos. Predator vessels dwarfed human fighters, their weapons shredding through metal like paper, yet the humans did not fight like the Covenant. They darted, they weaved, they risked everything. A squadron of jets lured a Vroth ship toward the asteroid belt, then detonated charges that sent rocks smashing through its hull. Another group of pilots pretended to retreat, only to loop around and slam missiles directly into the beast-like engines of the enemy. For every human ship destroyed, another pulled off a trick that left even the Covenant staring in disbelief. "They fight like madmen." An alien officer gasped. "They fight as if death is a joke." Commander Valen's glowing eyes narrowed. "No, they fight as if death is not enough." To stop them, on Earth, the battle was broadcast everywhere. Children in schools cheered as human fighters danced around Predator vessels. Families in bunkers shouted when human missiles struck harder than expected. The world had been told to fear, but instead it celebrated every reckless victory. The grin had spread to every home, every heart. But the Predators were endless. For every ship destroyed, two more arrived. Dark clouds filling the void, the Covenant line faltered. Entire fleets crumbling under the storm. Even the bravest humans began to fall, their ships torn apart, their names flashing on screens below. In Geneva, alien envoys shouted at human leaders, "Call them back. You will waste lives for nothing." The American president leaned forward, his face calm, a sharp grin curling at the corner of his mouth. "They're not wasting their lives. They're buying time. You'll see." And indeed, the Predators soon learned what time meant for humans. On the moon, hidden silos opened, unleashing railguns built in secret. Their projectiles tore through Predator hulls, each shot cheered by billions on Earth. On Mars, human outposts activated experimental weapons, plasma bombs designed from scraps of alien tech. Entire Predator squadrons vanished in bursts of unnatural fire in orbit around Earth. Human ships carried out suicidal maneuvers, crashing into Predator carriers to tear holes open for their allies. Every sacrifice was deliberate, every loss part of a larger game. It was not madness, it was strategy. The Covenant commanders could hardly believe what they were seeing. These humans. One muttered, "They throw themselves into death as if it were nothing." Valen corrected him. "Not as if it were nothing. As if death is only another weapon." The Covenant fleets rallied, inspired by the reckless fury of humanity. For the first time in centuries, the Protectors no longer fought alone. They had partners, and those partners were dangerous. Still, the Predators pressed closer. They broke through the defenses, descending toward Earth's orbit, their monstrous shapes blotting out the stars. The Covenant warned, "If they land, it is over." But humans only smiled. The Russian general muttered, "If they land, they die on our soil." And across the world, humans prepared. Cities became fortresses, tunnels became traps, oceans filled with submarines ready to strike. The Vroth thought Earth was prey. But Earth was a battlefield waiting to close its jaws. At dawn, the first predator ships pierced the atmosphere. They fell like burning meteors, slamming into oceans, deserts, and forests. From their hulls spilled creatures unlike anything humans had ever seen, towering beasts with jaws of steel and claws that shredded tanks like toys. The Covenant warned humans to hide, but humanity did not hide. In the Sahara, militias opened fire, smiling as they swarmed predator giants with bullets, bombs, and fire. In New York, skyscrapers became sniper nests, streets became ambush zones, civilians throwing Molotovs from rooftops while soldiers fought in alleys. In the jungles of Brazil, predators burned the trees, only to walk into traps of spikes, explosives, and camouflaged fighters. Everywhere the Vroth landed, humans met them with fury. The grin had turned into teeth. Commander Valen watched the chaos unfold, his metallic chest heavy. "They told us humans were fragile," he whispered. "But fragile things do not bite back," his aide replied quietly. "Perhaps, Commander. We came to protect them. But perhaps it is us who need their protection." Valen said nothing, but deep down, he knew it was true. Above the burning earth, the war had ignited fully. Predator fleets darkened the skies. Alien and human ships fought side by side, the world itself shaking from the fury of battle. The Covenant had sworn to protect humanity, but humanity had no interest in being protected. Humanity wanted to fight, and with every grin, with every reckless strike, with every impossible victory, the galaxy began to learn a new truth. The predators were not the most dangerous force in the stars. The humans were. The predators had landed. Earth shook as Vroth warships tore through the atmosphere, their monstrous shapes smashing into oceans, deserts, and cities. From their broken hulls poured beasts taller than buildings, their claws slicing tanks in half, their jaws swallowing men whole. The Covenant warned humanity to retreat, to let their armies handle the nightmare. But humanity never listened. Across the world, humans rushed forward instead of back, grinning through smoke and fire. In the ruins of New York, predator giants roared as they crushed concrete beneath their steps. The Covenant wanted to evacuate, but humans had other plans. Snipers fired from skyscraper windows, their bullets finding weak spots in armored hides. Civilians poured gasoline into the streets, lighting it as predators charged through, burning them alive. A single human squad lured a predator into a subway tunnel, collapsing it behind them and trapping the beast underground. The Covenant officers watching the battle whispered in shock, "These are civilians. They fight like soldiers." Commander Valen narrowed his glowing eyes. "No, they fight like survivors. That is far more dangerous." In the deserts of Africa, the predators believed themselves unstoppable. They stormed across the sands, devouring villages and tearing through defenses. But tribes and militias knew the land better than any alien. They led predators into dry riverbeds rigged with explosives. They set fires that drove the beasts into ambushes. Even when torn apart, the fighters laughed, their blood-soaked faces still grinning as they fought to their last breath. Alien envoys observing from the skies could not believe it. "These humans do not fear death," one whispered. "They welcome it if it means victory." In Brazil's jungles, predators burned forests to clear their path. But every step into the green became a nightmare. Hidden traps impaled them. Guerrilla fighters darted from shadows, attacking then vanishing. A group of children barely in their teens led a predator into a swamp, laughing as quicksand swallowed it whole. When the Covenant commander saw the recordings, he felt a chill crawl down his metallic spine. "These humans, even their children fight like hunters," he said softly. Meanwhile, on Mars, the predators thought the human outposts would fall easily, but the settlers had turned red rock into fortresses. They used mining drills as weapons, launched explosives, hidden in cargo containers, and fought with such fury that the predators retreated. For the first time, the Covenant realized the Vroth were not invincible. It was not because of their weapons, but because of human will. The Covenant fleet in orbit tried to regroup, But chaos reigned. Predator ships swarmed like locusts. Tearing through defenses, alien officers begged Commander Valen to order humans back, fearing extinction. But Valen stood in silence, his glowing eyes fixed on Earth below. He watched humans turn every street, every desert, every forest, every cave into a battlefield. And he finally understood. Protection was never what they needed, he said quietly. It was never what they wanted. On Earth, predator screams echoed through mountains as battles raged. In Russia, human tanks charged fearlessly into lines of predator beasts. Even when crushed, their crews shouted curses and laughed in death. In India, engineers turned trains into mobile weapons, loading them with explosives and ramming them into predator columns. In the Arctic, hunters used the freezing winds to their advantage, blinding predators before striking. Everywhere the predators turned, humanity was waiting with teeth bared. The Covenant soldiers who fought alongside humans were shaken. One alien warrior, hardened by centuries of war, watched a human woman in a burning village charge at a predator with nothing but a kitchen knife. She was torn apart, but her attack gave her neighbors time to kill the beast. The alien warrior whispered to his commander, "I have fought for 500 years, but I have never seen such creatures." His commander nodded slowly. "They are not creatures. They are something else." The Vroth began to change their tactics. They had expected prey that would scatter and beg for mercy. Instead, they found prey that became predators in return. Every city became a trap. Every battle a lesson in pain. Predators started to hesitate, their advance slowing as human fury tore holes in their numbers. It was the first crack in their endless hunger, and the Covenant knew the reason. Humans were not fighting for survival alone. They were fighting to prove a truth, that Earth was not a planet to be guarded. It was a planet to be feared. In the Covenant Council, alien elders argued. "We cannot control them," one said. "They are too wild." Another hissed. "If they win, they will change the galaxy itself. They are more dangerous than the Vroth." But Commander Valen silenced them, his voice sharp. "You do not understand. That is why they grin. That is their weapon." The elders stared, confused. Valen continued. "Fear breaks most species, but humans, they laugh at it, they use it, they twist it, until even monsters hesitate. That is why the Vroth bleed now, on the battlefield." The truth was clearer than ever. A predator beast cornered a group of human soldiers in a ruined factory. The aliens monitoring expected them to die. Instead, the soldiers grinned, pulling pins from grenades and charging directly at the creature. The explosion shook the ground, killing the beast along with themselves. When survivors emerged from the rubble, they were laughing. That recording spread across Covenant fleets, shocking every warrior who saw it. "This is what makes them unstoppable," Valen whispered. "They do not fight to live. They fight so others may live. That makes them eternal." The predators began to fall back, not because the Covenant had superior weapons, not because their fleets were unbreakable, but because humanity would not break. Every smile, every reckless act, every sacrifice taught the predators fear for the first time, and the Covenant finally understood the truth about humans. They were not the weak ones in need of guardians. They were the danger the galaxy had never prepared for. As the dust settled on another day of endless war, Commander Valen looked out over Earth. The planet burned, but its people stood tall, grinning. Even in the ashes, he bowed his metallic head, whispering words he never thought he would speak. "Forgive us. We came to protect you. But we see now you were never the ones who needed protection." His aide asked softly. "Then what are they?" "Commander?" Valen's glowing eyes dimmed as he answered. "They are the predators of predators. And the galaxy will never forget it." The war had turned Earth into fire. Skies burned with falling ships. Oceans boiled with wreckage. And cities lay in ruins. The predators pressed harder than ever, their fleet stretching across the void, their ground armies clawing through forests, deserts, and mountains. The Covenant was breaking. Their once proud fleets shattered, their warriors bleeding light into the stars. And yet, Earth still stood. Not because it was shielded, not because it was saved, but because its people refused to bow. In the ruins of London, a predator titan rose from the rubble, roaring as it tore tanks in half with a swipe of its claws. But humans did not retreat. They swarmed the monster, planting bombs on its legs, wrapping chains around its body, dragging it down like hunters bringing down a beast. It fell into the Thames with a scream, the waters exploding with fire as the bombs detonated. When the dust cleared, survivors raised their fists and laughed. Even as bodies lay broken, their grins told the truth. This was not the end. On the icy plains of Siberia, predators advanced through blizzards, thinking the cold would shield them. Instead, they found themselves stalked by humans dressed in white, hidden in the snow. Every shadow was a sniper, every ice cave a trap, every gust of wind a weapon. The predators roared in frustration, but the only answer was human laughter echoing through the frozen winds in the deserts of Nevada. Scientists unleashed a weapon built from both human and alien technology. A cannon powered by Earth's magnetic field tore through the skies, firing blasts that split predator ships like paper. It was reckless, unstable, dangerous even to humans themselves, but when asked why they risked it, the scientist leading the project only smirked. Because that's what it takes, he said. The Covenant commanders could not believe what they were seeing. We should be the shield, one said bitterly. But it is they who shield us. Commander Valen stood silent, his metallic hands gripping the railing as he watched Earth burn yet fight on. They told us to protect them, he whispered. But look, they never needed protection. They needed the chance to bare their teeth. The predators prepared their final weapon. A massive vessel, larger than a moon, slid into orbit, its core burning with energy enough to shatter a planet. Covenant fell into despair, whispering, "It is over. Nothing can stop that." But on Earth, humans only grinned in underground bunkers. Generals studied the readings, their eyes cold but steady. "We can't match its fire," one said, "but we can break it from within." And a plan was born. Plan so reckless, so impossible, that no alien would have dared suggest it. But for humans, it was perfect. Dozens of volunteer pilots stepped forward. Knowing it was a one-way mission, they strapped into ships patched with explosives. Grins plastered across their tired faces. Reporters asked one of them why he volunteered. He smiled at the camera. Because someone has to, and we're good at being someone. Those words spread across the world, carried on every screen, every radio, every heart. The attack began. Human ships darted through waves of predator fire, weaving, dodging, laughing even as allies were torn apart. They slammed into weak points, detonating charges, carving open wounds in the moon-sized vessel. One squadron broke through to the core, flames licking their hulls, alarms screaming. Their leader whispered into the comms, "Smile for them." Before plunging straight into the heart of the beast, the explosion lit the skies brighter than a sunrise. The Predator supership cracked, broke, and collapsed, its pieces burning across the heavens. On Earth, the people cheered, not in relief, but in triumph. The Predators faltered, their armies staggering, their fleets crumbling. For the first time in their history, they felt something alien to them. Fear. They had come to feast on a weak planet. But instead they found a world that bit back harder than anything they had ever faced. The Vroth turned, retreating into the dark, leaving behind a sky filled with fire. Earth had survived. The Covenant fleets hovered above in silence, their soldiers staring at the world below. They drove them away. An alien whispered, "Not us." "Them," another muttered. "We came to protect them." Instead, they protected us. All eyes turned to Commander Valen, who stood at the viewing window, his metallic face unreadable. Finally, he spoke, his voice low but certain. The galaxy was wrong. Earth is not prey. Earth is not weak. Earth is dangerous. In Geneva, survivors gathered in the council hall, surrounded by alien envoys. The American president leaned back, bruised and bloodied, yet grinning. "So aliens," he said, his voice heavy with smoke and exhaustion. "That's it? That's your warning? Protect us? That's all you had?" The alien envoy lowered his head, unable to answer. The humans around the table began to laugh, not cruelly, but with the unstoppable fire of people who had faced death and won. The Covenant would later record the battle in their archives, calling it the Day of Earth's Fury. But among humans, it gained another name: the Day of the Smile. Because in every photo, every video, every memory of the war, humans were smiling, not because they enjoyed war, but because they refused to let fear rule them. Their smiles became symbols across the galaxy, whispered about in fear and respect. Months later, as the ashes settled and cities rebuilt, alien ambassadors returned to Earth. They bowed before humanity, something the Covenant had never done before. "You are not what we believed," one said. "We swore to protect you. But it is you who have taught us what protection truly means." The human leader smiled, standing tall. "We don't need protectors. We need partners. If you want to stand with us, fine. But don't mistake our size for weakness again." And so the Covenant learned the final truth. It was not Earth that had been saved. It was the galaxy that had been warned, a warning written in fire, blood, and smiles. Humans were not prey, not fragile, not helpless. They were predators of predators, hunters of hunters, survivors of the impossible. And their grin would haunt the stars forever. As Commander Valen left Earth's orbit for the last time, he looked back at the blue planet. Still scarred but shining, his aide asked softly, "What will the galaxy say now?" Valen's glowing eyes dimmed, his voice carrying both awe and fear. "They will say what I now know to be true," he whispered, "that humans are the most dangerous smile in the universe."